Okay, we're down in the workshop today, hence why I'm using my camera phone rather than my normal one. As you can see, I've got the three pieces for the dash here. Now I have given them a little bit of attention. I had to chisel off all of that lacquer that was on them before because some of it was peeling off. I was hoping I was going to get away with just sort of patching it and filling it, but it wasn't going to happen. It would have just carried on peeling off. So it's been sat on there for over 40 years, so it's fair enough. So yeah, they've all been stripped back painstakingly, I might add, filled, sanded, so they're now nice and flat. And I've just had delivered some of this, which is our walnut wrap. Doesn't look too bad, I'll be honest. So what I'll do, it will obviously look better when it's actually on the panels. So I'm going to get this wrap applied, and we'll see what they look like. And there we go, all wrapped. I think they look alright actually. You know, is it going to look the same or as good as real walnut? No, of course not. Real walnut is very expensive. But I think once all the dials are back in and it's got the black surround around it, I reckon it'll actually look pretty good. So yeah, let's get this back together and see what it looks like. Okay, time to give these pedals a good clean. So nice and simple to get out of the car. They've got 6 bolts on top, 2 down each side, and then another 2 on the back. These can be undone from the top of the car because luckily the nuts there are captive, they're welded on. So I spent 10 minutes underneath it trying to undo these nuts first of all, before realising actually, you know what, there's probably a bolt on top, and there was. So nice and simple. Clutch and brake are obviously the same, with the exception the brake has a little hanger there for the switch, which I've already taken out, and then the throttle pedal on the end. You've just got a return spring on that and the little clevis on the end where the throttle cable goes. So these are looking pretty tired, pretty minging, old paint, rust, etc. So same as always, get the hose and the wire brush on them, give them a scrub back, and then give them a repaint. On second thoughts, I thought, you know what, let's actually get these off the brackets so we can clean in there properly, because they're all minging in there, you'll never get inside there. Free these up, make sure they're greased and moving nicely. These were an absolute sod to get out. They were pretty much fused in place. I had to lock them in the vise and beat the crap out of them with a lump hammer to get them out. Just tapping them a few mil one way, flip it over, tap it back again, keep putting WD on and keep hammering. And eventually they came out. It's taken me a good 20 minutes of whacking though, but they are out, so they're going to be a lot easier to clean and paint now. There we go, freshly painted brackets and pedals. Just putting the brake pedal in now, so that's the clutch pedal and the gas pedal. Everything looks better after a quick lick of black. My poor video camera keeps steaming up. It's because I leave it out here, and it's not the most watertight or best place to do it. It's been really nice this last couple of weeks, and then today the rain has come in. It's very humid, and the humidity is wreaking havoc on my lenses. So I know we've already seen them, but these are my instrument panels now. That's how they'll look with the gauges back in. I think they look pretty groovy, and with all their refreshed black interior, I think they're going to look really, really nice. Talking of black interiors, here's the boot. So it's been rubbed back and given a first coat of black hammerite. And I do like that black hammerite, it's such good paint. I've used it on everything so far, but it is so good. It doesn't need priming, base coating or anything. It's really, really nasty, sticky stuff. If you get it on your hands, it's on there for days, sometimes weeks. So it's very sort of noxious paint, but to be honest, that's exactly what you want when you're doing something like this. Looks almost like a factory panel. So there we go. So that is the boot, mostly painted in. I may carpet it. I haven't decided yet. The boot I probably won't bother because at the end of the day it's the boot. But the interior, now one of the things that I don't like about cars from this period is that they don't tend to have much in the way of carpeting inside. You get the floor mats and obviously the door cards and obviously the seats, but you don't really get carpeting in there as such. And you've always got bare metal all around you and it feels a little bit cold. So what I'm tempted to do is to actually get some 4-way stretch carpet in black and actually completely carpet the whole inside of the car. Now you might be thinking, well, that's a pretty stupid idea because as soon as it gets wet, if you can't take the carpets up, it's going to stay wet for ages. But here's the thing, this car is never going to be outside in the wet again. I will only drive it in the summer on warm sunny days. I'm not even going to put the roof back on it. It is going to be a pure convertible. So it's never going outside in the rain. Now I know you could still get some moisture on the road, it could splash up around the transmission tunnel there, etc. But it'll dry out. Like I say, it's going to be a summer car, so why not carpet the whole thing? It will look really nice, all done with a black carpet interior, black leather upholstery, and then gloss white on the paint. I think it will look really, really good. So I haven't decided yet, but that's my plan as it stands. And that's the panel on the top there, refreshed with the vents and the ashtray back in. Looks super nice. I've ordered the replacement windscreen seal, and that should be here in a couple of days, so then I can take that windscreen out, a job I'm not looking forward to doing, because obviously whenever you're handling a piece of glass that big, you've always got that panic that something's going to happen to it, you're going to drop it and smash it or whatever. If I do, you know, I'll have to get a new windscreen. It's not the end of the world, but I'd rather not if I can help it. So I'll get some foam mats and put it to one side, cut that seal out. The windscreen can then stay out until the car has been completely resprayed, and then putting the windscreen back in will be one of the last jobs. Yeah, looking pretty groovy so far. Hopefully you agree, and if you don't, that's alright. That's your right to disagree with me. So the engine's pretty much as it was before. Most of the jobs on that are done now. What I have done up here is painted in that scuttle panel or firewall, whatever you want to call it, and start to rewire and plumb all the bits and bobs back in again. So obviously I need to get myself a battery to sit in there, but let's just get you in there. So we've got the ignition solenoid, that's all in. We have the ignition coil. We've got the heater valve. I need to make a bracket for the washer bottle because I didn't realise it was for the washer bottle, and I've used it as an exhaust clamp. And then we've got our clutch and brake master cylinders back in, and our wiper motor. All the pedals have also been now finished, painted, put back in again. So if I go in here, push the pedals, see my pedals there are working nicely. Yeah, so I think that's looking pretty good. I'm about to take some of the choke linkage apart for the carbs here because I managed to snap a bolt yesterday. Boring. And of course, the replacement bolt is only a £5. By the time you take postage into account, it works out almost 20 quid just to replace one bolt, which I'm just loath to pay, but I know I'm going to have to at some point. Okay, so before I go and get any more gas for the welder and start tackling that passenger floor pan and a couple of the uprights needed in that driver's side, I'm going to give this a good clean out. This is the only part of the car now that hasn't been cleaned. Obviously the boot's all been cleaned out, that looks lovely. The engine bay we've all done, but we haven't done this part. I've been putting this off if I'm honest, because it's a bit of a state. I know there's welding to be done, and you know what it's like, there's always those jobs that you just can't face. Well, it's a Sunday afternoon, I'm going to face it now. I am missing a handbrake cable as well, which is rather annoying. But there we go. Yeah, so first things first, let's get on this with a hoover and a wire brush and take as much of this dust and debris away as we possibly can. and then we can sort of see what we're left with. That side looks a little damp because I've had a carpet in there, which was damp. I had it on the floor, and we do get a bit of water that runs through here, comes from that wall in the top corner. I need to have a look at that. Bit of water comes through, and obviously the carpet got wet, and it's got wet in the footwell. But that's alright. There's me saying, oh, we'll never get wet again. It's getting wet in the bloody place where I'm doing it up. There we go. Okay, an hour later, and much scrubbing, and we've got most of the dirt and crap out of there. There's some ingrained dirt in there, but that'll come out with a damp cloth. That's not a problem at all. So this back area that sits behind the seats is actually absolutely fine. There's no major rust issues in there at all. Some surface rust down there in the corner, but I've given it a good prod, and that's okay. Back here where the fuel tank sits, absolutely fine. Top of the arches, in there. Arches are absolutely fine. Bit of surface rust on top, same with that one. But on the whole, that's good. So what I'm going to do is I will rub that back properly, and then we'll get some black paint on that. So we'll run it all the way, the paint all the way back to here. I like painting as I go. Some people might think, what's the point in painting it a little bit and then doing a bit more? When you paint it, you get that feel of progression. So you know that all the black areas you've done. So when you've got a big job, like doing an entire car, it's quite nice to get those small sort of steps of progression, and you feel like you're actually getting somewhere. So I've scrubbed and hoovered both seat floor pans. I haven't done the fronts yet, in front of those upright struts, but I have done these ones. And again, lots of scrubbing. So this is the driver's side. As I said, down here it's going to need a bit of a angle panel put in there, just along there, and then back along here just to reinforce that, and I'll probably put a plate in on the top there as well. Overall, floor on this side isn't bad at all. The only area that's going to need attention is right here. That little square there, I'll cut that out and put a new plate in there. As I said before, it has got a plate that goes entirely underneath it. You can probably see it just inside there. So there is a replacement plate that covers the entire underside of this car, this side and that side. So we've already got double the strength, if you like. So yeah, cut that piece out on that one, and obviously get in here with a wire wheel, take it all back. There's some little tufts of carpet and bits of filler and God knows what else in there. So we'll get that all right back to bare metal. And then, as we know, because we looked at it before, the passenger side is the one that's going to need the most attention. That just needs, again, all those edges all seaming up properly, and get some rust prevention on that bottom plate. And like I say, it's in the dry now, so it's only going to get drier. It's not going back outside in the wet again in its life. So we'll get some, get some rust prevention on that one. Whip up all those seams. I'll do the same thing in that corner with an angle bracket down in that corner just to reinforce it. And then that should be both of those floors good to go. And the fronts actually don't look too bad. There's a couple of areas where they've put plates in already. There's a small one down here that's been put in, another one here. And the passenger side actually looks okay. I don't think that's got any replacement patches in it at all. So again, that should just be a case of cleaning that one back, checking it obviously for rust, and then painting it in. I probably shouldn't have put the pedals in until I actually painted the back of the firewall in there, but you know, I can always take them out again if I need to be. But as I'm brush painting it, it's actually quite easy to get in on those areas. So that'll be the job for the next week. Clean this up, get this all replaced, welded in, painted, and then once that's done, I can then put my dash back in and start to look to putting the seats in. In fact, there's no point putting the seats in, is there? Not until we spray it. So yeah, another week's work done.